This morning when I got up, seeing as though I'm off today, like anybody, one of the first things I do is check my computer, check my emails, stuff like that. And I checked, of course, my YouTube and my subscriptions, basically the subscription feed of those of those that I've subscribed to. And of course, one of the people that I've subscribed to was Andre Meadows. So I ended up looking at the video, and basically Andre was talking about information that had just come out for the upcoming new TMNT series next year. Now, this one is called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it is going to be 2D animated, which I'm pretty sure a lot of fans are going to be very much appreciated of within the next year, because even though Nickelodeon's TMNT wasn't bad, it was good. As a matter of fact, according to a lot of fans, including Andre, it was good. It went in directions you didn't think it would. For the news to come out that this is going to be 2D, I think it's going to be much more appreciated, because even though you could do a lot with CGI nowadays, it's pretty much proven depending on the software that you have. I think honestly you can do a lot more with 2D, and that's the honest truth. It really is. You can do a lot more. You have a little bit more fluidness and all that. One thing Disney has been trying to do and has succeeded in doing and is continuously building on is that blending of the 2D animation like drawings into CGI. So basically it feels like you're watching a traditional 2D animated film, but it's CGI, but it doesn't feel like it. So for Nickelodeon to decide to take Rise of the Ninja Turtles and put it into 2D, I think they realize that this is going to give them more opportunities to do a lot more. Now, we don't know exactly what kind of 2D it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be hand-drawn. We don't know if it's going to be flashed. We don't know if it's going to be commissioned to a studio like Toon Boom. We don't know. All we know is it's traditionally 2D. Well, it's going to be 2D. We don't know if it's traditional like hand-drawn and all that yet. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. He did announce who the voice actors were, and I will provide a link down to his video in the description. You could check it out. But he did announce who the voice actors were going to be. The voice actors and actress was going to be. He also was allowed to give out some descriptions as to how each turtle was going to be like. Now, he said that Donatello would still be the same, still be brainy and all that. Okay, fine. Tech whiz and all that, computer whiz. Mikey was going to be pretty much the same. Only things about him that are different is he's very artistic and all that. So I guess that's a good addition. And then you come to Leonardo and Raphael. And these are the two biggest, I guess you could say, differences, if not omissions, you can look at. Because Leonardo is described as being laid back, cool, calm, collective. And Raphael is described as being the oldest and the biggest. That's right, the oldest and the biggest physically. And he's also described as the leader. So yeah. I think Andre said it best in his video that when Partners in Crime did that line in the rap video saying that Raphael is the leader of the group, and how a lot of people have pretty much said that's not true. Well, guess what? Starting next year, it's pretty much going to be true as far as Rise of the Ninja Turtles go. Now, of course, we got April as well that Andre talked about. And Andre pointed out the voice actress that's doing her. And the reason he pointed her out, and this is one of the last things he talked about when it came to the voice actors and actors providing the voices to the characters, the reason he pointed her out is because of what April is going to be like and what she's going to look like in the series. See, April is going to be portrayed as African American. She's not going to be white or Caucasian or anything like that. She's not going to be Mexican or anything like that. All we know is that the race she's been given in Rise of the Ninja Turtles is African American. And a little bit of tidbit for anybody that's a hardcore fan of the Ninja Turtles, and I mean hardcore all the way back to the beginning. When Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird first created the Turtles, April was originally of darker skin tone. In other words, she was basically African American originally at the start, from what I understand. And the reason they say this is because that was one of the early designs of April. She had black hair. She was, of course, African American. But then they changed it to where she would be Caucasian with black hair. And then, of course, you had the different incarnations of April throughout the years, where she would be just Caucasian with the brown hair or the reddish brown hair. And there you go. So, yeah, basically the April in this incarnation is a bit of a, in this interpretation of Ninja Turtles, is a bit of a callback, a way callback to the first design and concept and appearance of April. Yeah, it's basically a way callback to the very first appearance of April in the comics, where she was African American originally, or at least the first concept and design that was used. So I think that's so kudos to that. I think that's a good acknowledgement on Nickelodeon's part. Now, one thing Andre did point out or mention in the information that he was given was this is supposed to be more comedic. It's supposed to be more funny in a sense than what it is before, than what you've had before. It's like, you would, when Nickelodeon did the CGI one, a lot of people, like I said, they love that. Like Andre has mentioned and I've mentioned, pretty much a lot of people liked the show. They enjoyed it. But what was different about it is originally you think, okay, it's going to be kind of a retread. It's going to be a hybrid of what we got with the 80s to 90s cartoon and the 2K cartoon. Boy, were we wrong on that, right? Because not only it was a hybrid. It was mostly one of the ultimate hybrids of all continuities, but boy, were we wrong when we thought it was going to have a bit of those comedic elements out of the original 80s to 90s series, hybrided in with the dark and dramatic elements of the 2K3 series. Boy, were we wrong, because like Andre said, it was a lot darker, dramatic. They went in directions you wouldn't expect them to go in. So yeah, they did a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect them to do as far as the show was concerned. But now they're talking about how this one is supposed to be more comedic. Like basically they have a comedic cast. This is supposed to be more comedy based, maybe. They say that at first, but something tells me, and this is my honest opinion, something tells me that they may say that at first. They may tell Andre that at first, but I think Andre knows, and anybody else that follows Ninja Turtles has been a fan for as long as a lot of us have been. That's not going to stay the case, because what's going to happen is if Rise of the Ninja Turtles takes off and becomes the success that Nickelodeon's going to hope it's going to be, not just thanks to the show, but mainly thanks to, like, let's say the new toy figures and all that coming out, to help promote it, that they're going to start slowly going away from that comedic direction and start being more dramatic, more action-packed, more darker as the seasons go on. If it continues on past one season, which I'm definitely sure it's going to. I don't think anybody around here, like myself or Andre Meadows or anybody, is worrying about the fact that it's not going to get another additional season or two after its debut next year, after its inaugural season, I should say, next year. Because there's no doubt that Nickelodeon's behind it, and even if it gets the slightest surge in popularity and ratings, Nickelodeon's going to be quick to sign on for another season or so with the show. Or they'll make sure another season is done. But when I hear comedic, I'm thinking exactly what could they do. Ooh, that's going to be sort of the tone of the show at first. Like what comedic elements, what comedic directions they can go in. Now, one of the synopses that they gave for the characters was for April. And April's synopsis was she is a native New Yorker, she's street savvy and smart, and she's always ready to join the fray, or join the fun, as they put it. Yeah, they said fun. Basically, she's always ready to jump in and join the fun. So it makes you wonder what that means as well. I mean, instead of saying the fight or the fray, it says the fun. What does that mean? Now, one thing Andre pointed out is even though April is going to be African American in this interpretation, we don't know exactly how old she's going to be. Is she going to be like the April we've seen in different incarnations before the CGI series? Is she going to be adult, if you will? You know, is she going to have an occupation, maybe like a reporter or a scientist or whatever? Or is she just going to be a street smart girl that's making her living, that makes a living doing freelance jobs or something like that? I don't know. So that is the one thing that I think a lot of us are curious about when it comes to April. It's like, you know, is she going to be a teenager and going back to school? Is she going to be a young adult and have a freelance jobs here and there that she's making a good living off of? We don't know yet. Andre said that within the next couple of months, basically within the rest of the year, we're supposed to get more information. I'm sure into the new year, we're supposed to get more information as well. So, again, you know, I don't really know exactly what they got planned for the characters for the show. But if I was to give my own opinion on what I think they could do, if they're going to start out with a more comedic tone at first, this is my interpretation. This is my opinion, I should say. My opinion is if they're going to start out with that more comedic tone, and April is described as being native New Yorker, street smart, savvy, always ready to join the fun, quotation on fun. I'm not going to put it past, my opinion is I'm not going to put it past Nickelodeon and the creative team behind this to do some Mutant episodes with April. I'm not. And I'm not talking, one of her friends get mutated. No. I'm talking April mutated herself. I'm not going to put it past them to do that. I mean, they played with the idea that she was part mutant in this recent incarnation. But I think here it's going to be more along the lines of they're going to play with the element of she is going to be, and that she is going to be mutated several times. That's just my opinion. When I think about it, that's just a feeling I get. You know, that they're going to mutate her a couple of times throughout the show. I don't know, like I say, you know, what that would enthrall to, or what that would entail to and lead to, or basically, I don't know what that would enthrall to or entail to, but all I know is I get this feeling that if they're describing April as being someone that's street smart and ready to join the fun, it sounds like what they're doing with April is they're going to make her into a mischievous kind of like character. Like, she's going to use her street smarts and everything to help the Turtles get out of binds, and her knowledge of New York to help them, know how things work, or, how to get around and stuff. But again, the key word that gets to me, the three key words at the end of that synopsis for April is join the fun. So when I hear that, it's basically like I believe she's gonna have that mischievous side to her. Like, she's going to be very mischievy. You know, a lot of people say that one of the things that made April popular in the original series is anytime, people would tell her, the Turtles or her colleagues would say, hey, don't, do this, stay behind. She would always at first you'd agreed not to do it, but then that mischievous side of her would come out and like, yeah, I'll stay around long enough to follow you guys, and she'll find a way to sneak around and everything. So, and the same was, I guess, shown in the CGI series when it began when it began and everything. So that's what I'm kind of getting. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting here with April's character, that she's going to be that mischiefy like character, and that mischiefy like side of hers is going to lead to her being mutated on several occasions. I really do. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those mutations, she ends up being mutated into a blob-like girl, into like kind of a slime-like creature, blob-like creature that could shapeshift, melt, that can melt down into a puddle, shapeshift into whatever she wants or whoever she wants. She can slip through cracks. She can kind of like, go with the flow, kind of merge with like any other liquid substance, something like that. I could see her being mutated into that. I could see them probably doing a callback to her being mutated into a tiger from the original animated series. I could see them doing that as a callback. I could see them doing a callback to the other mutation she's had of being a fish woman and temporarily being an insect queen, if you will. As well as I think I could see them doing a callback to the last season of the 2K series, which was Back to the Sewers, where she became this yin-yang like demon-like character. I could see them doing callbacks with April, with this incarnation of April in the new series, depending on how long the show goes. So I could see that. So with April, I think they're going to have a lot of fun with her character, and I wouldn't put it past them to, like I said, go in the direction of mutating her into some of the things that I mentioned, that they could probably end up doing with her. As far as the Turtles themselves go, I think the biggest dynamic here, I think a lot of people look at, is the role reversal with Raphael and Leo. But I think Andre was starting to bring this up, and I think Andre had a good point here. You see, we don't know what's really going on with Leonardo. I mean, right now it's described as he's kind of laid back, cool, calm, collective kind of character, and Raphael is the older, physically bigger leader. He's the older, physically bigger brother and leader of the group, who's trying to, I guess, prove, I guess, kind of. I gotta rewatch the video, but basically, kind of lead by example, kind of deal. In other words, do things correctly or something, or do things the right way, or try to at least lead by example. In his opinion, maybe lead by example. So one thing that Andre mentioned is it does leave the door open as to maybe this whole role reversal will probably lead to Leonardo ascending and maybe taking the reins. Maybe there's going to be an episode or a story arc or sub-arc in the series where, Raphael, he's trying to be the leader that he's chosen to be, but he can't focus. It's like he lets his anger gets the best of him and it puts his team in danger. And Splinter may notice, well, Leonardo seems to be more calm and collective in the face of adversity. So I'm wondering if that's going to lead, like Andre mentioned, to a story arc or sub arc to where Splinter's going to decide, Raphael, I tried with you, you tried, but you're not ready. But you are not ready anymore to be leader, or you're not capable of being leader anymore. However, your younger brother here is. So that might be something they might play upon. I don't know. Again, we don't know. One thing Andre did point out is we don't know what other characters are going to be in there. Well, of course, they said they're going to encounter. Of course, one of the things is that they're supposed to encounter other mutants and all that throughout the series, but we don't know who those mutants are going to be. We know we're going to get new mutants to be original parts of the show, basically be original OC characters for the show. But we also know but I think Nickelodeon I think one thing Nickelodeon realizes is you also got to bring back or bring in characters that fans know of from the past, from the other incarnations. So as far as established mutants go, established mutants or characters, mutant-like characters or mutant characters go, I would suspect they're going to have to. I would suspect, of course, you got to bring in Mondo Gecko. He's got to be in there. Bebop and Rocksteady got to be in there, of course. You got to bring in the Baxter Starkman fly. That's an obvious. Um, you got to bring in Mutagen Man. That could lead to the whole April becoming a blob-like girl kind of creature deal. Maybe. Um, you got to bring in Mona Lisa because a lot of fans want to see her finally. Or want to see her again. Honestly, I think they need to bring in Ninjara. They need to work something out with David Allen and Stephen Murphy and bring her in. Bring in Ninjara. Who else? You got to bring in. You got to bring in the frogs. You got to bring in Napoleon Bola Frog and the frogs. Basically, you got to bring them in. Yeah, you got to honestly, bring in some versions of Toka and Reza. That'd be great. Um, who else? You know, whatever you could think of. I mean, Rat King, of course, you got to bring. He's not a mutant, but you might as well mutate him in the dang thing, knowing as far as Nickelodeon will go with changing things up. So yeah, Rat King, I would like to see back in there as well. Of course, you're gonna have Shredder in there. You can't do anything. You can't do a Shredder without a Super Shredder, so you got to bring that in. Karai. I don't know if you want to leave Karai if they bring her in for this one. If you want to just leave her human this time, or they want to go the mutant snake route again or something. Because if they go the mutant snake route with her, where she can shapeshift back from being a snake to human, then I say go all the way with it. Here's what I would do with Karai's character. If you're going to give her that ability to where she becomes a shape-shifting snake, where she can go from being part snake, Naga, if you will, back to her human self, why not go all the way with it and have her be able to, and give her the ability to shapeshift into anything or anyone else, like a chameleon-like power or something. In fact, why don't you do that with her instead of making her a snake? Make her a freaking chameleon. I'm just saying. But yeah, if you're going to bring Karai back, it's kind of up in the air exactly what they would want to do with her. But if they're going to go mutant, you might as well go snake with chameleon-like abilities or something like that. I don't know. Overall, though, those are just my thoughts on what they're planning to do with the Ninja Turtles in Rise of the Ninja Turtles. I would like to, honestly, here's what's crazy. I would like to see them use this interpretation to do a callback to the OVA. Yeah, I would like to see them do a callback to the OVA. That way, for those that may not know about it, can get intrigued by it, want to look it up, and maybe even demand to see it come out to video here in the western part of the world, here in the U.S. Because there's one thing about the OVA. You see, the turtles themselves, they become like Super Saiyan-like creatures or superhuman-like versions of themselves. And when it's necessary, they combine into this one big white turtle-human hybrid-like creature. So I would like to see a callback to that, which would be, like I said, in my opinion, would create intrigue for the OVA to the point that maybe Nickelodeon and Paramount might be able to bring it over and release it on a home video here in the States. I would like to see a callback to that. Overall, I can't really think of anything else I would probably like to see in this new series besides what I've mentioned. All I can do as a longtime fan like Andre is even if I don't watch the series as much, all I can do is hope for the best and see what they got in store. But if they do anything that I've mentioned, like with April and basically mutating her on several occasions from either a blob-like slime girl-like creature that could shapeshift into anything or anyone she wants, or melt down into a puddle and seep under cracks and doors and go with the flow as she merges with other liquids. Whether they do that, whether they do callbacks to her being mutated into a tiger, fish woman, bug, insect queen, transform or mutate into a yin yang like creature like she was in the 2K series. it's totally up to them, but I've got a feeling just from that synopsis, like I said earlier, it kind of tells me we're going to get a very mischiefy April here that's going to have street smart, street savvy, but is always ready to join the fun when maybe she's not meant to, or maybe they don't want her to, or something like that. I'm sure they're going to bring Casey in as well, and I would expect maybe an African American Casey. Maybe I'm not trying to be offensive here, not trying to be offensive, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. If they brought in an African American Casey or a Latino Casey, or if they keep him Caucasian, that's fine too. But I wouldn't be surprised if Casey Jones is of another race, and descent as well. In the new series, if they bring him in. And again, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. I do apologize. I'm not trying to be offensive, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do that as well. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do. They have Rob Parsley doing the voice directing, so he's got basically a good comedic background when it comes to voicing characters. So I think he's going to do a decent job here. Overall, just have to wait and see what they do, and look forward to. And honestly, I do look forward to any of the other announcements and that they make as far as characters and what the animation is going to be, as far as 2D goes. What kind of 2D animation we're going to get, and that's really all I can say. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Video responses are greatly appreciated. Again, I'll provide a link to Andre's video down in the description. And I'll talk to y'all later.